Hi, welcome back to Box Delights. In this video I'm doing a new Kickstarter preview, and it's one I'm giving with a bit mixed feelings really. This is the closing game of the Quantum trilogy. The Ragnar brothers brought us Nina and Pinta, Darien Apocalypse, and what I'm going to show you today is the Romans. Recently the Ragnar brothers team has gone all out on their production using Kickstarter. They've given us quite a few games. I think it really started with the big box game DR Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Hope Out of Horror, where they really honed their skills as Euro game designers. And this last trilogy has been really trying to break the mold on Euro games and giving us a new kind of experience. And I think the Romans has really succeeded at doing that once more, and I'll go into detail on that a little bit more. The downside, I guess the bad news is that these guys are citing this as their last game, as they look to retire the Ragnar brothers as independent publishers. I mean, through the last 30 years, we've seen games like these Euro games like Viking Fury, probably one of their more popular games, which has recently been republished by Pandasaurus as Fire and Axe. One of my favourite games. This is an original production with a tea towel map. End of an era, really. Again, Backpacks and Blisters was one of their recent ones that they recently republished, re-released via Kickstarter. And games as diverse as the word game, anyways, and even embracing the digital format, as we saw. This probably is their most successful over the last 30 years. History of the World, or a brief history of the world, on iOS. So these guys really have left a huge footprint on our hobby, and it's going to be really sad to see this end. But those games will live on. They'll get republished. These are great games. And what I'm going to show you today, like I say, is this Quantum game. The Quantum series has been one where they have this idea of multiple worlds, and this is where their Euro games have really brought or solved one of those problems that Euro games have, where they're multiplayer solitaire. This is kind of lots of player interaction. In Darien Apocalypse and Nina and Pinta, you had a player board that had multiple worlds, parallel universes, if you like. This is the Quantum idea, where players were acting out the same kind of actions across different worlds to see how those different worlds would evolve in parallel and you know, diverge in different ways. The Romans puts a new spin on that. We'll be seeing this, I think it should be kickstarting this October 2018, we are now. And in this Romans game, rather than all players acting out their actions on multiple worlds, instead each player has their own world. Here we have the Kingdom of Rome, and instead you have a common action board. So this is going to be very much worker placement. So we've got places where you can take actions with your workers, which are senators in this game, and every player has their own world, and every player therefore will be given the same opportunities, but how they take those opportunities, how they use, yes, there's randomness in this game because we're going to see some dice rolling going on. But another unique part about this game is that there will be Roman armies doing battle, as you'd expect from a Roman game. This quantum theory is taken further by saying when a dice roll happens, it doesn't happen in one world, that same dice roll happens across all worlds. So although there's randomness in the battles, how each player takes those opportunities or avoids those dice rolls when they, if they don't want to go to war, then they don't have to suffer the same rolls. But if they're all going to war together, then these same dice rolls that determine the outcome of battles will affect all players equally. So there's luck, but players make their own luck. We saw Rosenberg use dice in A Feast for Odin, and I know these guys like those kind of games, these Euro games, but they really are giving them, they're not just turning out another Euro game. This is something that's going to be completely new for you. In Romans, once more, they've teamed up with Marco Primo to give you the consistent artwork that you've gotten used to in the more recent Ragnar Brothers publications. And it must be said, in the context of this Roman theme, we do have this kind of Asterix the Gaul kind of feel to the game, and But more than ever, I think that the artwork ties in really nicely with the theme, and I think the wider community will be drawn to that. The other feature of their games recently is their dedication to solo play, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, the rules are a little subject to change. We are, pre-Kickstarter. This is all prototype stuff that's printed on the home computer and all that sort of stuff. So bear that in mind. So to that end, I'm going to give you a sense of how the game plays solitaire. Steve Kendall, one of the designers, has put his own little video series showing you how the game plays. I think he did a 2-player game to give you a sense of that. So I'm going to give you an idea about how does a quantum multiplayer worker placement game play solo. Hence why I think you're going to love it. So this is hence why I've got a single player board set up. I'm going to skip through some of the setup. This is a random. There's different eras of the game playing out from 753 BC all the way up to 460 AD. These are set up through these 5 eras, different buildings that are going to come out. Different buildings will give you access to different actions, different things that you can do. So the game does evolve through this period. Our aim is to score victory points. We can accumulate victory points as we play, but there's also a final scoring. 3 points per Christian city, it says, a point per 5 unused resources. So there's some resource management going on. You can use your empire to gather resources. You'll be scoring points for glory tokens as you demonstrate your prowess as a leader, and your world reflects the glory of Rome. So like all good Euros, your aim is to build an economy that most effectively generates victory points. Okay. So let's dive into some gameplay and show you how this plays. Remember, our aim is to play through this 1,000 years of Roman history, occupying provinces on the map, gaining points for placing cities there, or fortifications, fleets in these seas, and remembering that a wealthy kingdom is a victorious kingdom. A few things before we get going. I'm going to play the red player. My opponent is the purple player. We're Rome. Purple player is the enemy. This is quite a big footprint game, so even playing solo with 1 player board here, we're taking up quite a bit of the table. So I'm red player. I've got a set of red pieces. These are my legions, my senators, my fleets. This is the turn order track. Playing solo, we're going to get to go first, the enemy second. We start the game with 1 legion in the multiplayer game. The second player will get 2 legions, third player 3 legions, so there's a little bit of an offset there for not being first player. Each player gets a different set of triumphs, and they're going to go here on the map. Rewards that we can earn. We also get a set, each player, a different set of native forces. These are the forces that we're going to conquer. They're going to get placed randomly in each of the provinces, and they each have different strengths. Maybe there's a village there, maybe there isn't, maybe there's an army there, that kind of thing. This is our capital here in Latium. We start with a city here, and a fort here, and 1 legion. And up here on this area of the board, this is where you store, this is kind of like your capital if you like, this is where your undeployed legions will sit, and also your workers, your senators are your workers. And you start the game with a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, a level 4 senator. So 4 workers to pick actions, and these live in the villa. And we also start with some starting resources, and there's 3 types of resources: manpower, victuals and materials. White cube, red cubes, black cubes, and we start with 1 gold. Now, as I say, during the game we're going to be taking actions, and we're going to be using our senators to take actions. So for example, if I wanted to use, I've got a rank 1 senator here at the Serbian Wall, I can place him here, or a rank 4 senator at the Temple of Jupiter. With a rank 4, the higher the rank, the more actions you can take. So with a rank 4, you can place him in the 4 spot, the 3, 2, or the 1. Now during setup in the 3, 2, or solitaire game, some of these spots are going to be blanked out. So what you do is you draw from this pool here of blocking tokens. This has got a rank 4 senator on, so that's blocked out that spot. This is a 1. We do this for all the buildings. So every game is going to add a little bit of variety. And then as these new buildings, as we hit each one of these, its token's going to get turned over. Got a couple spare, we'll put them aside. Okay, so every game is going to have a slightly different setup. Alright, sequence of play then. The first thing we do each round is decide where our glory is going to be earned. This is the glory tracker. These are stand-in tokens, glory tokens. For each player, we decide which province we're going to earn most glory, like a bonus glory, if we manage to conquer that province. We roll a die. Let's see. Well, it's actually a black die for each player. So let's say for me, it's going to be number 1, Gaul, Gallia. So if we conquer that province, if we conquer Gaul, build a city there, or convert that city to Christianity, we earn 5 points. There will be different points for each era. So in eras 1, 2, and 5, it's 5 points. Flip it over. Eras 3 and 4, it's 7 points. So things do get mixed up a little. For the enemy player, it's also going to be Gaul. Okay, that shakes things up a little bit. But at least we know we've got a target region now, Gaul. And here's our capital. I'm just going to make a note, that's 1, 2, 3 provinces away, 3 regions away. So we're going to go here, get some points. The other thing to point out is these triumphs, which I'm just going to put a couple more in these. Every player is going to have their own version of these triumphs. When you first occupy one of these, within these remote provinces here, the first time you occupy them, you get to draw the triumph and take the reward. But you don't just take the one triumph, the one that's on your player board. You'll take the triumphs from everyone's player boards, choose which one you want, and then they go back. So if I were to go to Britannia, score 5 points for a city in either Mauritania or Egyptus, score 6 points for a city in either Gallia or Hispania. So they give you extra objectives, if you like. So as we head into this round, into this era, every round is an era, let's keep that in mind. So to start off on era, we've got our goals. What we do is turn over a new building. So for era 1, we're now playing out 753 BC to 400 BC. We turn over this building. We've got a blocking token. We're going to block off one of the actions on this building. Happens to be Ludus Magnus. And this is a way of scoring points. So we can place our senators here. It says score 2 points for each province outside of Italy. And depending where you, that's provinces that you control, depending where you put your worker, number 3 here is blocked off, you'll get some additional points. Okay, so the putting a senator here is a big 6 points plus 2 points for each outside of Italy. One other thing you'll notice here is that this building has the senator icon. All players now receive a rank 1 senator. We've got an extra worker right from the off. Hence why there's these extra ones over here, extra rank 1 senator. Now in the solo game, what that does for the AI opponent, every time we add a senator, we give the opponent points. Okay, so again, we've got a target to chase. And it's going to be a big target because underneath here, we'll find a circled value, 25 points. 25 plus their starting 2, 27 points. Note if there's no senator, then the Rome gets those points. So we do catch up. So era 2 is only 20 points. It's got a senator. That one will go to the enemy. Era 3 is 15 points. That will go to Rome. It's a nice little mechanism because if you've got more workers, more senators, then Rome gets more. The enemy gets more points, a lot more points. Okay, but you've got more senators to do your work. So every solo game is going to play out really differently. Because of the way these buildings come out and how many workers you get, and then how many points you're chasing. Next stage is to choose a leader for the era. So every player gets a leader of the Roman Empire in their quantum world. And we use this era deck here to kind of drive that process along. So we flip this card over. We have a look, and then we're going to roll a die, a black die. One of these is going to get blocked out, a leader that we can't choose. Number 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can't choose Servius Tullius. What these cards tell you is what army size you'll have as you're trying to conquer and create the Roman Empire. Now we want to get 3 spots away, so we really want a 3 size army, which would be Numa Pompilius, who rewards us with 4 gold. That's actually a pretty good one. So we're going to use our token here, and we're going to select Numa Pompilius as our leader for this era. Some of these leaders also bring bonuses. So for example, Coriolanus, as a picture of a ship here, he brings a bonus fleet. The gold goes here in our docks. So now we've got 5 gold to spend. And with that, we head into the main part of the game, which is where we get to place our actions. Now, I'm keen to raise some armies. I want to get at least 2 legions. My army size is 3, so an army consists of 3 legions, and move them across here. What's going to happen is, as we move across, we're going to have to leave 1 legion behind as a garrison in each of these provinces. I'd like to be able to do this in 1 hit. It may be that I can't, it may be that my campaign will end short, and we'll get defeated and lose some legions, but let's assume that everything's going to go well. We want to get 2 more, 2 more legions, possibly 5. So let's go and have a look at the buildings and see how they help us. Castra Peregrina lets us recruit legions. Now the lowest spot is blanked out. Well, that's okay. I might just start by placing one of my senators here. So one of my rank 2 senators. Now it says that we need a rank 2 senator plus a white cube. We need some resources. We need some manpower. Got 1 white cube. You start the game with this. Different regions on the map will allow you to gather different resources. The way to gather resources is to use the Basilica Aemilia. Here you can, from provinces that you control, so you put your marker down, you get a bonus. You get a bonus of 1 gold, 3 gold, 5 gold. But in regions or provinces that you control, like here in Spain or Mauritania, you do need a fleet. You do need a fleet to gather resources from these places. So from Spain, you'd collect 2 gold if you controlled it, and if you controlled Mauritania, you collect 1 manpower. So that's Basilica Aemilia. And like all these buildings, you can use the god that's associated with that building. So if you take this god, you can only take 1 god per era, and only 1 player can take a god. Obviously, we're playing solo. For Mercury, you have to control all of Italy. That's the other condition for using gods. You can buy resources. That would be Mercury's ability. So we'll pay our 1 white cube. And it's going to cost us 1 gold for every legion we take. One of them is free, so I'll take my free legion, and I can take up to 5. With higher ranked senators, I can take more free stuff. So actually, why don't I do this instead? Why don't I use my rank 2 senator over here at the forum, pay the red cube, or orange cube, this is victuals, raise senators up by up to 2 ranks. Let's turn one of my 1s into a 3. I could split it. I could have give myself 2 2s. Now we'll spend this rank 3 senator. We'll put him on the Castra Peregrina, which with 1 white cube, it allows me to recruit up to 2 free legions. 2 free legions. There we go. Now I've got the 3 I need. Now I could spend some gold. I'm going to spend 3 gold and take an additional 3. I can buy up to 6 here. Now I've got 2 armies worth because my leader has size 3 armies. Still got 3 senators left. The other place you can place your senators is in an enemy province, and that's what we're going to do next. I'm actually quite keen for my rank 4 senator to take on this task. And what we'll do with our rank 4 senator is we'll place him in an adjacent to any of your garrisons. And if you have a fleet on the map, so let's say I've managed to put a fleet here, maybe I took Coriolanus, who allows me to place a fleet. Any region adjacent to any province adjacent to a fleet is also accessible, so I could go straight over here or straight into Gaul with a fleet. That might have been a good idea. But we're going to march northwards with our land army. So we flip our senator over and he becomes a general. And since we have a garrison here, we can place him either here or here. We're invading Etruria. I might invade again. I might actually go south at some point. And the higher rank the general, this gives us better bonuses when we're trying to fight. That general needs an accompanying army, so we bring our 3 legions. Our army size is 3, remember, from our leader. And now we start our campaign. If you were playing multiplayer, all these campaigns would happen simultaneously. And we're going to have some dice rolling. And these dice rolls would happen simultaneously. So it might be, I have a general here doing my campaign, another player has his general somewhere else doing a campaign. We're going to roll some dice. The dice will apply, this single roll will apply to everybody's worlds simultaneously, right? So that's that simultaneous dice roll thing. So first thing we do, we're in this province here, we flip over this native token, and this is where luck can change. Now the strength of the Roman army is the number of legions we have plus the bonus of the general, so 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay, so we place our Roman soldier here on the 6th spot. The strength of the enemy is dictated by this token. Incidentally, this token here shouldn't be here, but if we look at this token as an example, this one's got lots of bonuses. They have 1 for a warband, so this one has 1 warband, this one has 1 warband, plus 1 for a city or a fort. So the warband we're facing has 1 for this. This one has a plus 2 bonus here, so that would be a 3, this would be a 1. And if the token would show a wall, that's plus 2. That's a particularly dug in enemy force. So as it stands, we're facing an army of 2. Notice this one also has a gold icon on it. If we defeat this, we earn a little bit of bounty, 1 gold. This spare one should be up here in the pot, because what will happen is as we defeat these, they'll go in the pot, and then during the enemy turn, which happens at the end, their enemies will invade and will pull tokens out of the pot back onto the map. And in multiplayer game, this will be filling up with tokens from everyone's map, so you may end up with a token, a native army on your map of not your colour because you've pulled it out of the pot, and this is how things kind of get mixed up a little bit. Right, so his force is strength 2, so we're looking good. Now we roll the dice. I'm white, they're purple. We've smashed this native force. So we've got our 6 plus 6 is 12, they've got 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so we remove this, it goes to the pot, we leave a garrison here, and our army marches on. So let's march on to Venetia next. And this is how the Romans campaign. And we've got just 1 here. So we've got 3, 4, 5. We've only got 2 armies here this time. So 5. And they've got 1. Okay, so 1 versus 5. Add the dice. Yep, we won again, 2 and 2. Okay, so that's 7 versus 3. This one goes to the pot. We leave a garrison here and we march onwards. Now note, as we're campaigning, we could be earning glory here. Okay, remember these targets that we're heading up to. So we're heading into Gaul now and we're hoping for something weak. Alright, this is strength 2, a city and a warband. And obviously our army size is reduced by 1. They've got 2. So we're hoping for a victory. And yeah, no problem. We've got 5 plus 4 is 9, 3 plus 2 is 5. With the garrison in Gaul now, we can take our glory, which is 5 points, right? We're up to 6. And we remove our token here. If we want to get rid of this one, we're going to have to now build a city here as well. And with our campaign ended, we've got no more armies, everything's garrisoning here. Our general goes back to the barracks. So that's campaigning. You can see now we've reached all the way up here. We can campaign, we can spread our influence across the map. And unfortunately, to build a city is going to cost 3 gold. Fleets and walls are 2, forts 1. I've only got 2 gold. So it's not enough to... Not enough to buy a city. So really overspending on these legions was a bad idea. Let's assume I didn't do that. It's a bit of a cheat, but we're only demoing. Let's take our 3 coins back. We're allowed to cheat in the demo. We got 2 free and we paid for 5. Yeah, that's only paid for 2. That's fine. So we got some more money left. All right, so let's now use let's use the Serbian Wall. We only need to use our rank 1 senator. Place this here. Build a city. We spend 3 gold. Well, I need to spend a black cube, some materials, and up to 3 gold. 3 gold to buy a city. This is a city. And we can place this in Gaul. And this obviously earns us some glory, the glory of Gaul. We've already taken the 5 points for conquering Gaul, but what we can do instead is remove the opponent's glory token. They can't now claim Gaul, so we've denied the enemy another 5 points. I've got a rank 3 senator left, so why don't we actually do this? Let's use our rank 3 senator here. Keep this guy, spend up to 7 gold, and actually place a fleet for 2 gold. Let's spend our last 2 gold, and we'll grab one of these fleets. So we'll just give those a bit of a shuffle round, grab a fleet. Let's place it here in the Mediterranean. I've got one general, one guy left. Let's just pop him in here then. He's only a rank 1 senator, so he's not going to give us much, but there is a potential bonus. And here we roll the die. So we roll, and we've got a 1, so that's +1. Very bad. 3 or 4 is +2, 5 or 6 is +3. So with this we can remove some unrest, which we haven't got on the board. We've got 2 actions, so we could mix and match these. So as it goes, I'm going to take 2 gold. I'm going to take 1 gold twice, yeah, for my 2 actions. Flip a city to Christianity. You can only do this in eras 4 and 5. But there we go, we've got 2 gold. Let's just take our bonus there. Right, we've reached the end of placing your senators, the meat and bones of the game, if you like. And at this point, we kind of do the Roman reset. Our generals move back to be senators, and our senators all move back to the villa. Resources all go back to the supply. We score a point for every city on the map, for every Roman city on the map. So at the moment there's 2. 1 here, and the one we started with, 2 points. Our fleets flip, so this fleet that we just placed, now we'll reveal it, and it's got the 5-6 on it. And if we'd used any gods from the Temple of Jupiter, then they would go back. So gods like, let's see, what does Mercury do? Mercury set, so if we'd gone to the temple, paid the money, again, if we control the whole of Italy, we can do this and they're not in unrest. If we've taken Mercury, any senator placed in Basilica Aemilia, over here, may use the 4 benefit, so even a 1 can use the 4 benefit. Now these gods, each era you can choose 1 god. You can only choose a god if you control the whole of Italy and it's not in unrest. If I use the building associated with this god, I can pick that god, or if I use Temple of Jupiter, I can pick any god. Okay. Each player can only pick 1 per era, and only 1 player can pick a god. So if someone takes Vesta, no one else can take Vesta, and you can always use that benefit. All right, this is the thing. Take the whole of Italy. You've got the favour of the gods, and suddenly all these benefits are available to you. If you go to Temple of Jupiter and call upon the gods, you place your senator, you pay the resources, which is victuals this time, and you roll the die. Okay, you pick which god you want. Let's say I chose Vesta. You will get a bonus to that die depending on where you placed your senator. So let's assume I got the 4 senator in here. That would give me a +3 to the die. So I've got up to 7. 4 + 3 is 7. And I can spend that 7 on these dice rolls, so a 6 and a 1, a 4 and a 3, a 5 and a 2, and so on. And then use the abilities of those numbers. So for a 1 it says build 3 gold worth of cities, fleets, walls, forts at Serbian Wall prices. Or 6 it says score 3 points per city. So I think we've pretty much covered all of the types of actions that you can take. We've reset Rome. We've done the player turn, the Rome turn. Now it's the kind of the enemy's turn to make things happen. It's the game's turn to start hitting back. So we flipped our fleet, and the first thing that happens is storms at sea. We roll the black dice. We're looking for anything other than a 5 or a 6. If we roll a 5 or a 6, then our fleet will be lost at sea. It's a 3. We're good. Next up, the remote provinces. These things here. If we occupy these, they're going to start to attack back. So if you look at Britannia, for example, assuming we'd occupied here and we'd got a garrison here, there's a warband here with a +1 strength leader. We would have to conduct a battle as if that would happen. And what happens then is we would remove the Roman legion. It would be removed. and we pull another native warband back out of the cup to replace it. If you look over here at the era deck, this is still at era 1, but it does act as a reminder. We're doing Storms at Sea, then Britannia, Germania, Mesopotamia attack. The next thing we do is then flip this over. First we block one off, just like we did when we did leader selection. So number 4, that shows the 4 and 5. That one's not available. In multiplayer game now, this is a chance to kind of do the dirty on your opponent, because if you're out in front, you can either choose which enemy to face or which enemy you want your opponent to face in the 2-player game. So what we'll do is, in solo we get to choose. What these forces are going to do is they're going to start in one of these locations and they're going to march towards the nearest city, facing down any garrisons that you've left along the way. So maybe Etruria is the one to do. The trouble with this one at Gaul, although it's for, it will march on this city here. The problem is it's a strength for 3, which means it's going to put 3 forces. They're the equivalent of 3 meeples. They'll do battle, and then they'll march forward, and then they'll do battle, and then march forward. And they're going to potentially destroy what we've made. So I think the one I'm going to choose is the one at Etruria, because it's only 1 force. So this one here. But if we look at it, what we'll see is it does take a general with it. We'll place it here. And this is where building forts and walls really helps you. So as you're expanding, build forts, build walls, and it adds to the strength of your garrison that's left behind. Because at the moment we've got 1 warband plus 1 from the general for the enemy, so that's 2. But we've only got 1 garrison, we've only got a +1 here, that's it. So they're 1 ahead. If we built a wall, then that would give us +2, we'd be up here. A fort up here. So we can strengthen our position, and strengthen your positions at the extent of the further reaches of your expansion, your empire is good, but also trying to strengthen around Rome is good. And what you'll get to learn from these era cards is which provinces are the ones that are most likely to be the starting points. Where do these warbands come in from? I won't spoil that for you. Okay, so let's roll the dice. So purple for them, white for us. And they've got a 2-to-1 advantage at the moment. And yeah, they've defeated us. They've got 3 + 2 is 5, 1 + 1 is 2. So we lose our garrison here. They've been overtaken by this enemy. So this legion garrison goes away, general goes back, and we replace this warband with one from the pot. Okay. You are drawing these from a pot, so there is a chance you'll look at them. So we can examine this and then place it face down. So we'll know that this is only a single warband, a nice target for our next attack. One thing to note, if this was a strength 2 warband, then it would have marched further. It would have left a garrison behind, marched forward, and we'd have done another battle here. We'd have had a good bonus. Because we've got a fort and a city, 1, 2, and a garrison of 3. But if we do lose Rome, in the first 4 eras, Rome is not really lost entirely. What you do instead is you put the warband back in the supply, put your legion back as a garrison for no cost, but you lose 5 victory points. In era 5 though, you've got to contend with them. Rome really has fallen. And then we continue on with the next era. So we flip over the next building. We've got a new set of actions. One of them's blocked out. Number 3, this is the Theatre of Bulbus. This one's going to take black resources, materials, and it's again giving you more victory points. And so the game goes on. And the game's going to progress, so you can see that as we build up, you can get more and more actions available as we chase down this target of victory points. Gold is going to be really important to you in the game. You can exchange, you can buy resources with gold. You can see in this next era, we've got no resources, so we're going to have to think about ways of grabbing these things from the map. We've got Venetia here, we could potentially grab red resources from. Maybe we should try and expand south. So we've got red, we can go and call upon the gods, or we can upgrade our senators, or we may have to spend the era using Basilica Aemilia and probably trying to grab one of these gods as we take over Italy. So expanding into Italy is really important so that we can make use of these these gods as soon as possible. These 4 provinces become key, remember, because of being able to use the gods. But for the solo game, there's one additional layer of scoring. Obviously, when we get to the end of the game, you're going to get final scoring. Yeah, 3 points per Christian city, 1 point per 5 unused resources, gold, and legions. But throughout the game, as well as trying to stop them getting these glory points for glory up here, which we managed to do on Era 1, at the end of each era, the enemy is going to be racing ahead because they're going to score 1 point for every enemy occupied province. Okay, so they're going to be shooting up the board here. So we've got to expand. We've got to expand, and we've got to try and expand and take away those points. It's a real tough challenge. But these combination of rules mean Roman expansion is what this game is really all about. I should also add, in the solo game, normally when you're using these gods, I said you can only pick 1 god per era, and in the multiplayer game only 1 player can have that god. In the solo game, same applies, but at the end of the era, the god that you've used will go away. Okay, so you've got to diversify your use of the gods as well. There's only 4 there, and obviously we've got 5 eras to get through. I think it's great that Ragnar Brothers continue to support solo mode playing out of the box in their core rule set, and have really developed that solo game for us to play. Particularly when the quantum theme, having multiple worlds like you do, less of an issue in Nino and Pinta and Daring Apocalypse, because this main board is multiple worlds. But in playing solo with only 1 player board, there's only 1 world. So the solo game becomes, a very different feel of game than the multiplayer game, but a valuable game about Roman expansion. So look out for it. Let's support these guys one more time, and let's see the Romans from Ragnar Brothers a great success. Thanks for watching. See you next time.